Hi everyone, my name is Donald Newman with the Columbus School of Chinese here in Columbus, Ohio, back with the next episode of our series Ask a Chinese Teacher, where I attempt to explain a question about learning Mandarin Chinese in the most concise, easy to understand way that I can. And today I'm going to start what will inevitably be a multi-episode series about learning Chinese characters. Now, Chinese characters are the oldest writing system still in use in the world today, and learning them is one of the most daunting tasks to a new learner of Mandarin. So today I'm going to try to focus on exactly what you need to know to get started and make it a little bit less daunting. So the first thing you should know is that the Chinese character writing system is what is known as a logographic writing system. This means that each character represents an idea or a word. So this represents an entire idea. This is one Chinese character. And usually characters are one syllable each. Right? This differs critically from alphabetical languages in that the letter C on its own does not mean anything. CA still does not really mean anything. Finally, we have an idea. We have a word. We have a noun, cat, right? This happens to be cat. If I were to spell this out in pinyin, like I introduced last episode, this is Mao, Mao in Mandarin, right? Now, it might make sense then that there are a lot more Chinese characters than there are letters to the alphabet. You need a lot more if you needed a specific character for every single word, every single idea. And that's true. If you counted every character ever in existence, they would number in the tens of thousands. Luckily, most college-educated people in China know about 3,500 to 4,500, but even that sounds a little bit daunting. If you can get down around 2,500 or even 2,000, though, you're pretty well set for everyday tasks in China, pretty well set for most news articles. Have a dictionary on hand nearby, you'll be fine. I still need a dictionary myself when I translate professionally. Now, that's still a little bit daunting. But there is a method to the madness. The more characters you know, the easier it will be to learn even more new characters. And here's why. So some characters are very simple. This is the number 3. This is the number 3. We have, this means mountain. And some of them even look like what they're supposed to be. Right? Once you know the simpler characters, they start to combine to form other words. Mountain, off the top of my head, is in the word sui. This is for age, years old. Okay. So once you know the simpler ones, you don't have to start from scratch when you get to the more complex ones because, okay, this is part A that I already know, part B that I already know, part C that I already know. So just put those three things together. And it's not totally 12 strokes that you have to memorize every single time for new characters. Let's take Mao as another example. So with Mao, we have what is called a radical here that kind of gives us a category or a general meaning about what this character means. This radical is used for a lot of animals. So already this gives us a hint we're talking about animals. The rest of this character can be a character unto itself, pronounced miao. It means seedlings or sprouts. If you know that, miao, this kind of gives you a hint of how this character is pronounced. Miao is very similar to mao, right? Miao also and mao are kind of the sounds that cats make if you ever had a cat. Now let's take miao as an example. Why does this mean seedlings? Well, up here, we have what is called the plant radical, or cao. This means grass, or plant radical. The plant radical is paired with a field. So we have plants coming up from a field. That makes sense that this is miao, seedlings. Now that we have miao established, it makes sense that this pronunciation goes with animal to make mao, cat. So it is still a lot to remember. But also remember, the more you know, the less daunting it is when you come across new characters. The last thing I should mention is stroke order before you go off and start learning characters. Each character has a set stroke order by which you should write the character, and that includes direction of where your pen should be going. So, for example, we have the character Ni. If you've studied Ni correctly, you know that this is the first stroke, then the second, then the third, then the fourth, and so on and so forth. Why go through the trouble of memorizing all of this as well? There are a few reasons. One is it's actually easier to remember. Once you get the guidelines down for how a character should be written, it almost takes a little bit of the guesswork about exactly what goes into writing the character. So it actually makes it easier to learn once you get familiar with these rules. And if you pay attention early on to these rules, most students get to know them pretty intuitively, relatively quickly. So there's a lot more to know about characters. Each one of the tips I talked about today can be at least one of their own standalone episode for this. But this is the basics for how Chinese characters work. Good luck as you get started.